Hello students, welcome again. Students, today we want to discuss William Shakespeare as a dramatist of English literature. Actually, we know that Shakespeare has been the most important and the most outstanding literary personality of English literature who lived during the 16th and 17th centuries. So now let's begin. See, there are hundreds and thousands of critics who have appreciated William Shakespeare as a great poet and as a great dramatist. Some of the critiques I have taken here just to show you how the critics are eulogizing. Eulogizing means appreciating Shakespeare's dramatic art. Ben Jonson, he said about Shakespeare, soul of the age, means he believed that Shakespeare is the soul, the heart and soul of the Renaissance period. Applause, delight, the wonder of the stage. Shakespeare is actually a wonder, a miracle of stage, of drama. Okay, and people are applauding Shakespeare's dramatic art. Further, Ben Jonson, he also said about Shakespeare that he was not of one age but of all the times. In the same manner, Astic Coleridge, who is himself a great poet of Romantic revival, he said that Shakespeare is a myriad minded man. Myriad minded man means a person who has many sided personalities. Okay, Shakespeare has contributed in different fields. Okay, what fields that we are going to discuss in today's lecture? See, all in all, hundreds and thousands of critics have appreciated, have applauded Shakespeare's contribution to English literature. Even in today's times, after more than 400 years, Shakespeare has been studied seriously in all universities across the globe. Internationally, Shakespeare has been studied by the students and teachers, and that itself shows how great this literary personality is. In the field of language, he has contributed. He has contributed in the field of drama, in the field of poetry, and whatnot. The kind of themes that he has dealt with in his drama, they are highly universal themes which appeal the mind and heart of all people. No barriers of time, no barriers of place, across the globe, Shakespeare has been accepted universally. So, what is Shakespeare's contribution? Remember, Shakespeare has written about 38 plays. Okay, now some historians believe he has written 32 plays, some other historians believe 38 plays. So, we don't want to enter into that debate how many plays he has written, but around 32 to 38 plays have been named after William Shakespeare, and all these plays, he has written different genres of drama like comedies, tragedies, histories, historical romances, and so on. Means in all different genres he has contributed. Say, for example, Shakespeare, if someone asks you a question, who is the greatest comedy writer of English literature, then the answer is William Shakespeare. A Midsummer Night's Dream, such a humorous comedy, The Merchant of Venice, Twelfth Night, Much Ado About Nothing. All these are some of the top 10 comedies of English literature. In the same manner, as far as writing tragedy is concerned, no one can excel William Shakespeare, the greatest dramatist of English literature as far as writing tragedy is concerned. And four tragedies are very important written by Shakespeare: Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello. These are highly poignant, highly tragic tragedies, in which the emotions of the common man have been presented realistically by William Shakespeare. Not only comedies and tragedies, he has also written some historical plays. Historical plays are the plays which deal with some stories on real history of so in a particular region. Okay, these stories, these plays deal with some themes like leadership, politics, and real war which took place in England. Okay, some of the most important historical plays of Shakespeare are Richard the Third, Henry the Fifth, and Julius Caesar. In the same manner, he has also written some romantic plays, okay, like Cymbeline, like The Tempest, Pericles. These are some highly fantastic romantic plays written by Shakespeare. Not only this, dark comedies have been presented by Shakespeare. Even when the whole concept of dark comedy was not existing in Shakespeare's times during 16th century, it was during that period of time that Shakespeare has written such dark comedies, or you can call them problem plays. Problem plays became popular in English literature towards the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century in the hands of George Bernard Shaw. But that problem play, the whole idea of problem play that we later find in the 19th century, was done actually by Shakespeare during the 16th century. Measure for Measure and Troilus and Cressida, these are some good examples of dark comedies or problem plays. Now the next question that we must discuss is, what made Shakespeare William Shakespeare? Shakespeare को Shakespeare किसने बनाया? Means Shakespeare no doubt was an individual talent, but he was also influenced by several writers. Okay, so there are three important things which make William Shakespeare such a huge personality in English literature. Number one, he was influenced by some classical writers. Now, when I say classical writers, I hope you understand. I talk about Greek writers, ancient Greek and Roman writers. Okay, say for example Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, and Seneca. Remember these four names. Shakespeare had read the plays written by these four Greek and Roman writers, and then he learned a lot from these writers. He learned the art of writing drama, the art of writing tragedy from these classical writers. So you can say that had there been no such classical writers in Shakespeare's life, Shakespeare would not have been such a great personality. So he has learned different techniques from the classical writers. Not only this, Shakespeare was also much influenced by Renaissance humanism. Now, I have uploaded a separate video. I hope you have watched that video, a video on Renaissance humanism. If you want to have a detailed understanding of this, you can watch it later on my channel. But Renaissance humanism was a movement which was prevalent during the 16th and 17th century, and it emphasized the importance of human potential. Okay, that we can do anything. Okay, so a kind of individualistic approach was found among the British people during the 16th and 17th century, and this humanism, the idea of humanism, you find among the thinkers like Erasmus, Montaigne, and others. Shakespeare had read Montaigne and read Erasmus, and that's why you find element of Renaissance humanism in Shakespeare's plays. Okay, so second influence. The third influence is of the English writers like Christopher Marlowe, Ben Jonson, and Thomas Key. Remember these three names. Even some historians and some critics even go to the extent of saying that had there been no Christopher Marlowe, there would have been no William Shakespeare. Okay, Shakespeare learned lot many things from Christopher Marlowe. Christopher Marlowe himself was a great dramatist of the 16th century Elizabethan literature. So these are some of the three important influences on William Shakespeare. Now we come to the main discussion on the features, the characteristics of Shakespeare's plays. What are the features of his plays that make him a different dramatist? Okay, Shakespeare stands out from all other hundreds and thousands of dramatists of English literature. Why? There are seven important features, seven important reasons which make him such a great dramatist, which make him a different dramatist from other dramatists of English literature. Number one, multi-dimensional immortal characters. You see, characters are very important when you are writing a drama. Okay, and multi-dimensional, I mean, Shakespeare had the power to create very highly complex characters. Okay, they are passing from not only external conflict but also from internal conflict. Okay, they are not completely good characters, neither they are completely bad characters. Even a bad character has some good qualities and a good character has some bad qualities. So you find a kind of realistic touch in his characters, because in our human real life also, no person is completely bad and no person is completely good. So we find this realistic touch in his plays. Not only this, the characters that are presented by Shakespeare, the heart that throb in these characters, these hearts are the hearts of the common man and women just like me and you. Okay, so we develop a kind of intimacy, closeness when we read these characters. Some of his characters are highly immortal characters like Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Duncan, Iago, Othello, King Lear, Cordelia. These are Romeo and Juliet. These are some of the most important characters who are still in today's times also. They have been touching and appealing the readers and scholars. Another important feature of Shakespearean drama is vivid language. Vivid means life-like language, real language. Okay, Shakespeare was a master in the use of language, and in prose and in poetry, in both the matters he was a skilled person. He was a skilled poet and he was the master of both prose and poetry. Okay, some of his lines have become immortal. Like Lady Macbeth says that all the perfumes of Arabian Sea cannot sweeten my little hands. Or Hamlet speaks the lines, to be or not to be, that is the question. These are some immortal lines, poetic lines written by Shakespeare, which we are murmuring even after more than 400 years. Even his humorous characters are also capable of using highly vulgar language in order to create humor in the comedies. Okay, so that is the second one. The third important feature is exploration of universal themes. If someone asks you why Shakespeare became such a great dramatist and why not others, then the answer, friends, is very simple. He was a man who has explored some universal themes which touch the heart and mind of all the readers, not only in England in Japan, Australia, America, everywhere, not only in 16th, 17th and 18th century, even in 21st century also. Some of the themes like racism, some of the themes like gender issues, the male and female issues, okay, some of the psychological issues. In those times, no one was discussing gender issues. Feminism started 19th century onwards. Okay, Shakespeare lived during the 16th century, but still you find the issues of feminism in many of his plays. Gender roles is found in Romeo and Juliet. Okay, psychological development you find in 20th century, but psychology you find in 16th century in Shakespeare's plays when you read his Hamlet. So he was ahead of time. Okay, he was 400 years ahead of time. That is why he has been considered such a great dramatist. Moreover, he is also a master of using comedy and mixing comedy and tragedy both in one single play. Shakespeare was writing in the time in which people were mainly focusing either on comedies or on tragedies. If you are a dramatist, you write a pure drama, pure comedy or a pure tragedy. But Shakespeare violated this tradition. He went away from this tradition and he believed that life is what? Life is a mixture of tragedy and comedy. No one's life is a complete comedy and no one's life is a complete tragedy. And that's why he believed that if I want to give the realistic picture of the real life lived by the real people, then I must mix both tragedy and comedy together in one single play. And that's why he started writing a new genre of drama which was later on known as tragicomedies. His Merchant of Venice is the best example of a tragicomedy. Another important feature of his plays is historical and cultural context. Shakespeare is not away from the culture in which he is living. He became the representative dramatist of the 16th century. He has presented all cultural context and historical context in all his plays. So, if you want to read the history of England, don't read it. Better you read historical plays written by William Shakespeare. You will get a better idea about the history of England. His Richard II, Henry V. These two plays are highly historical and cultural plays. Okay. Another important feature is supernatural elements. As I told you in the beginning, Shakespeare was much influenced by the ancient Greek writers, right? And so ancient Greek writers made use of supernatural elements in their plays. In the same manner, Shakespeare learned this art from the classical writers, and he also has introduced the gods, the witches and some magical power in his plays. Like see, if when you read Macbeth, Macbeth begins with three witches. Fair is foul and foul is fair. Fair is foul and foul is fair. This dialogue is spoken by the three witches and the drama begins with these three witches. The three witches play an important role in bringing about the high ambitiousness in Macbeth. So Macbeth's tragedy takes place just because of these supernatural elements. In the same manner, if you read A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is such a fantastic comedy, there also you find that there are four lovers: Hermia, Helena, Lysander and Demetrius. These four lovers, they are placed in the beginning of the play, they are placed into a forest, and that forest is a magical forest. It is a forest of fairies. Okay, and there is a character called Puck who plays some mischiefs with these four lovers. He applies some magic juice on their eyelids and then some confusion arises and humor is created. Okay, so magic plays an important role in Midsummer Night's Dream. In the same manner, if you read Hamlet, the tragedy begins in the very first or second scene. You come across the ghost of Hamlet's father, and the tragedy begins. Okay, so supernatural elements play a vital role, very important role in all Shakespeare's plays, and the last important feature is use of dramatic irony. Now, what is a dramatic irony? I have already uploaded another separate video on types of irony. If you want to understand it in detail, you can watch it later on my channel, but let me tell you it in short, that in dramatic irony, something occurs, something takes place on the stage, audience knows, but the characters do not know. Okay, audience knows that what is going to happen now, but the characters do not know. This creates suspense and it also creates humor. Okay, so this has been, it's a dramatic technique which is used by Shakespeare in most of his plays. I have taken two examples, one from Romeo and Juliet and another from Hamlet. See, when you read this play Romeo and Juliet, the audience knows that Juliet has taken a sleeping liquid, so he is lying. So the person, anyone who looks at Juliet believes that Juliet is dead. So Romeo also believes that Juliet is dead, and that's why Romeo also kills himself. Okay, but when Juliet wakes up and sees that Romeo is dead, she too takes her own life, and tragedy occurs because of dramatic irony. We know that Juliet was not dead. Romeo starts believing that Juliet is dead, and that's why Romeo kills himself. So this creates tragedy in that play. In the same manner, in Hamlet also, the audience knows that Hamlet is actually not mad. Hamlet is pretending to be mad. Okay, other characters believe that he is mad. So this is called dramatic irony. So these are the 7 important features which make William Shakespeare such a great dramatist. In short, let me conclude the whole discussion by saying that Shakespeare was a dramatist who has presented universal ideas, emotions, and intellect in all his plays. His plays are the proof of the universal appeal which make him a great dramatist, a dramatist of all times. His influence on English literature is found even in 21st century. Okay, in today's writers are also inspired by William Shakespeare's art of writing drama. Okay, hundreds and thousands of critics have appreciated Shakespeare as a great dramatist. At last, let me conclude by quoting John Dryden. John Dryden himself, who is known as the father of English criticism, he has appreciated William Shakespeare and said that he was the man who of all moderns and perhaps ancient poets had the largest and most comprehensive soul. Okay, Shakespeare has the largest and comprehensive soul if you compare Shakespeare with other writers. Such good words were said by John Dryden about William Shakespeare. So here we come to the end of this discussion. If you still have any questions or doubts, do write to me in the comment section of this channel, and please do share this video among your friends and classmates. Thank you for watching. Thank you.